This is He Knows in Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, I want to talk about the Shawn Porter versus the Danny Garcia, or however you want to flip it. Danny Garcia versus the Shawn Porter fight. Bottom line is this: it's basically who's going to bring their A game to that fight that night that's going to win. We all know that's the big fight that's coming up, but to me, I feel like it's a 50-50 fight, regardless of the outcome. I believe both fighters are evenly matched up, and boxing is like basketball in one essence. It's all about matchup. And here's the thing: Shawn Porter, we know he's gonna give that that herky jerky, kind of borderline, or what you would call a poor man's version of a Mike Tyson. And Danny Garcia is pretty much going to give you that, slow pace, timing. He's going to give you good one and twos, and he has a solid right hand. And if his right hand lands, it's going to cause some serious damage. All you got to do is ask Matiste, because he got knocked out by the right hand. All you got to do is ask Amir Khan, because Amir Khan got knocked out by the right hand. And all you got to do is ask Keith Thurman, whose right arm is basically still healing from that effect of Danny Garcia's right arm. So you got to give Danny Garcia's right arm respect, because like I said, he when he lands, it does damage. And he's a timing guy. Guys that like to do counter punching and like to time you are guys that are formidable, and guys that you have to respect. There's a reason why the Shawn Porters of the world and the Danny Garcias of the world are on the top of the welterweight division for a reason. Everyone who's fought against Shawn Porter, it's been pretty much a hard outing for them. So, it's never been a fight where you could say, man, Shawn Porter definitively got beat. The only fight that you can look back on that and say that he definitively got beat was when he fought against Kell Brook. And this is why I feel, and again, it's a sidebar conversation and it's another time, another video, but this is why I feel a guy like Errol Spence is at the top of the welterweight division, because people forget, unless you forget, unless I have to remind you that, Errol Spence beat the likes of a Carol Brook. I mean, there's an argument that people could make, well, his orbital sock in his eye was not the same. Okay, but here's my thing. If you're good enough to step into the ring and fight somebody, then you're good enough to fight that night. And bottom line is, this is the same Kell Brook that fought against Shawn Porter and dispatched him easily, made him look, like a B minus C level fighter, because he was just basically making him miss, and he wasn't, going for the herky jerky. And every time Shawn Porter tried to do the herky jerky, he held him pretty good. If I'm the Danny Garcias of the world, this is what I'm doing. I'm going back in that fight against Kell Brook, and I'm doing my homework. I'm watching video and I'm trying to see, okay, what was Kell Brook successful at? Because even though Danny Garcia does not have the true skill sets that a Kell Brook has, he has some of those skill sets. So he can definitely look at that as a tool or a guide, like basically a schoolmaster or a tutor for him to be able to see what he can bring to the table and what he can use against the likes of a Shawn Porter. Because when you're fighting Shawn Porter, you definitely need to be on your toes, man. You need to fight on your toes, because this is a guy that's going to keep coming forward. He's going to be herky jerky with his movement, and he's going to give you that in and out. This is a guy that trained with the likes of a Manny Pacquiao for a long period of time. So I think he developed a lot of those habits, and to me, those habits are not the best habits to develop in boxing, but bottom line is he has those habits. And I feel like this is what he's going to bring, like at some point, a boxer is who he is, and, familiarity breeds complacency. So when it's time to bring out your true colors, this is what you're going to get from Shawn Porter. I know he has Barry Hunter, who's been helping, and, he has Shane Mosley, who's been helping, but Shane Mosley has helped before, and we really haven't seen too much difference in Shawn Porter's game. I hope Barry Hunter, who is a well-respected, and a veteran trainer, can bring something else to the table to help expand his arsenal, because I do feel that he's severely lacking in, the realm of being a true boxer, the sweet science aspect of boxing, and really just kind of counterpunching and really just kind of picking his shots. I think he, has vulnerabilities, and that's why, he's lost these fights every time he's had the step up fight. is because he hasn't had those things in his arsenal for him to be able to go to in the tool shed, so that he could beat the likes of a Keith Thurman, he could beat the likes of a Kell Brook, and things of that nature. So I feel like that's the reason why Shawn Porter lost those type of fights, because he didn't have enough in the tool shed to do that. And if I'm a Danny Garcia, this is what I'm going to expose. I'm going to look at the way Keith Thurman beat him, even though that was a closer fight. Keith Thurman did study Kell Brook, and he brought his own element to the table, because Keith Thurman, just like Kell Brook, can box on his feet. Like he can box on his toes. He can move around. He has good ring generalship. And he knows how to get around the ring. So I think that was what was able to be that deciding factor, or that Achilles heel to a Shawn Porter who can't handle that kind of stuff. Plus, Keith Thurman is probably the hardest hitting welterweight. See, I like to give guys their true and proper credit. Even though Errol Spence is the body snatcher for what he is, I mean, Shawn Porter has sparred with the likes of Errol Spence, and he has boxed with Keith Thurman. He said, hey, Keith Thurman is the hardest hitting guy in the welterweight division. So, I'm going to lean towards the guy that's been in the ring with that guy. And I do believe that Keith Thurman, there's a reason why they call him one time, because you only have one time. And if he can get back to that, don't try to duck me, son. If he can get back to that mentality, of being that Keith Thurman that we had loved and respect, and stop being this new age Keith Thurman that just wants to chill and rest on his laurels, then yes, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with back in the welterweight division. So I'm looking forward to it. I hear this rumor out saying that he's going to be on the undercard of the potential fight between Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia, or Errol Spence versus Mikey Garcia. If that is the case, then I would love to see it, but my feelings on it. Errol Spence is going to dispatch Mikey Garcia. I know I'm getting flack from, the Hispanic community, or folks who think that I'm just going for Errol Spence because he's a black boxer, but that's just nonsense, man. I'm looking at boxing for what it truly is. And this is the third time that I said it, and I'm going to say it again. Like, they have weight classes for a reason. And a guy that boxes at, 126, 130, and now 135 has no parts and no reason being in the same ring with a guy who boxes in the 147 division and who walks around anywhere between 177 to 180 pounds. I mean, it's just the weight class is there for a reason. And, it's not just saying that status quo term. The fact of the matter is, you're going after the headhunter, man. You're going after the free smoke. You're going after, Errol Spence Jr. No one wants no smoke from that dude. That's the dude that's sitting there and making guys piss and blood, and making guys, having to go get checked out at the hospital after the fact, after their fight. So if you want to step up and fight a lion like that, that's on you, man. And again, hats off to Mikey Garcia for taking the challenge and daring to be great. But at what cost? You know what I'm saying? Brain damage, piss and blood, you know what I'm saying? Like, losing your life. Is it really worth it? I would think that, he should fight somebody the likes of a Manny Pacquiao. That's just my opinion. Do that first. See where you at, and if you win that fight, okay, then, fight at least another 147er after Manny Pacquiao. That way you get comfortable at that weight, and then go fight a guy like an Errol Spence, and then people could look at that and say, okay, you know what? He has paid his dues to do that. But just to go fight the top guy, man, I'm sorry, man. There's levels to this stuff for a reason, man. And there's just such a thing called paying your dues, and, and earning your weight, man, and patience, and that's, people can knock Mayweather on that all they want, but that was the thing about Mayweather that I like. He had patience. Terrence Crawford, hats off to him, man. Hats off again to him, and hats off 3 times to him, because he followed that blueprint. He did what he had to do at 126. Then he did what he had to do at 130. Then he did what he had to do at 135. Then he did what he had to do at 140. And then he jumped to 147, man. You got to take your time, man. You can't just be rushing. A lot of people in recent history, Adrian Broner, of the world, now Mikey Garcia, Amir Khan of the world, Kell Brooks of the world. When you rush and you go into a weight class or 2 weight classes that's above you, you see what the outcome is, man. When you rush and you don't take your time and really, really allow yourself to fill into that weight class. Andre Ward is another guy, just like Mayweather and Terrence Crawford, and he gets special consideration in this video but being able to take his time, and fill out the weight class before, he fights a lion. That's what you're supposed to do, man. That's what smart people do. You don't just go and fight the lion in the weight division because you daring to be great. That's just nonsense, man. Nowadays, guys, at the end of the day, there's a business aspect to the sport, and there's an aspect of you being able to take care of your family and having your faculties after the fact. If I didn't care about these things, obviously I would be like any a nonsensical or ignorant fan that'd be like, yeah, I want to see Mikey Garcia fight Errol Spence and Mikey Garcia get his head knocked off. I mean, it's just nonsense, man. Like at the highest level, who would want to see that? You know what I'm saying? Because that guy is the smaller man, and Errol Spence is not going to get the credit for winning that fight because what people are going to say? He was expected to win because he beat the smaller man. So Errol Spence is in a damned if you can do and damned if you don't position, whereas Mikey Garcia, on the other hand, all of the credit goes to him if he wins. And guess what? If he loses, he's not going to get no blowback because people kind of expected him to lose because they're going to say he was the smaller man. So it is what it is, man. But back to Shawn Porter and Danny Garcia. The bottom line is this. If Shawn Porter can become the aggressor, push the agenda, show his herky jerky ability, be able to throw off Danny Garcia with his lateral movement, and we all know Shawn Porter has extremely good conditioning. Excuse me, but in the Adrian Broner fight in the 12th round, he did show that one time where he had that lack of discipline, and he ended up getting that shot where he got hit. So we've been able to see that if you hit him with a good, solid, and clean shot on the chin or on the temporal, you can knock him down. Adrian Broner proved that, and I believe Danny Garcia has that power to the likes of an Adrian Broner to do that. The question is Danny Garcia going to be able to handle that smothering pressure that a Shawn Porter is going to be able to bring to the table? If he can solve that problem, he can solve that riddle, then I got Danny Garcia winning the fight. But in all essence, even though it's a 50-50 fight, I'm kind of leaning towards Shawn Porter because I feel that his pressure is going to be relentless and it's going to be too much for the Danny Garcia. If you guys disagree, just comment below, subscribe to this channel, share and like this video, with your friends. This is He Knows the Sport, checking out.